The war was over after 5 long years. The Terran Alliance had finally defeated the alien race known as the Varn. Cities had been destroyed. Millions had died, but now there was peace. A bitter, cold peace. Captain Raylan stood alone in the silent hallway of the military base. His uniform was clean, his medals shiny, but his heart was heavy. He didn't feel like a hero, he felt tired. Empty. He had seen too much, men screaming, children crying, fires that never went out. Victory had come at a high price. But today, something strange waited for him. A general approached him with a proud smile. "Captain Raylan," he said, "you served with honor. The council has decided to reward you." Raylan looked up. "Reward?" The general pointed to a small metal door behind him. "Go inside, your gift awaits." Without another word, the general walked away. Raylan opened the door slowly. The room was dim, quiet. In the center stood a young Varn woman, thin, small, and scared. Her purple skin glowed softly under the light. Her wrists were chained. Her eyes were wide with fear. She didn't speak. She only stared at him, like he was a monster. Raylan froze. "This is a mistake," he whispered to himself. "This isn't right." He stepped forward. The girl took a step back. Raylan raised both hands. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." But the girl didn't believe him. Why would she? Her people had lost. Her world had fallen. To her, he was the enemy, the human captain who came to conquer. He noticed the file attached to the wall. Her name was written in alien letters, but translated beneath. Subject: 44ZYR, property of the Terran Alliance. Status: gift. Raylan felt sick. She was not a gift. She was a person. A scared, living person. He took off his captain's jacket and placed it on the chair. He slowly sat down on the floor, trying not to look threatening. "I'm not going to use you," he said quietly. "Not like they want me to." Still, Zara said nothing. She stood in the corner, her body trembling. Her eyes watched his every move. Minutes passed in silence. Raylan sighed. "I've seen enough pain. I don't want more." He got up and walked to the small console near the door. He tapped a few buttons. The chains on Zyra's wrists unlocked. With a soft click, she gasped and pulled her arms close to her chest. She didn't run, she didn't speak. She just looked at him confused. Raylan took a step back. "You're free to move. You don't have to stay in the corner." Zyra didn't understand. Why wasn't he yelling? Why wasn't he touching her? Hurting her like the others did to her sisters? This human was strange. Raylan walked to the table and poured water into a glass. He placed it near her. She didn't move. "Drink if you're thirsty," he said. More silence. Outside, the sound of celebration echoed across the base. Music, laughter, humans drinking, dancing, cheering for their victory. But inside this room, there was only confusion and fear. Zara finally spoke. Her voice was soft and broken. "Why? Aren't you hurting me?" Raylan looked at her, his eyes tired. "Because I'm not like them." She blinked. "I don't want a slave," he said. "I didn't ask for you. I don't believe anyone should be treated this way." Zyra shook her head. "But I am your reward. That's what they said." Raylan walked to the far corner of the room and sat down again, far from her. "No, that's what they think." "You are," he said, "but I don't see a reward. I see someone who's been through hell, just like me." Zyra stared at him for a long time. She didn't know if this was real or another trick. But something about this human's voice felt different, sad, honest. She slowly picked up the glass of water. Her hands shook as she drank. Raylan watched quietly. He didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know if she would run, fight, or stay, but he had made his choice. He would not be the monster they wanted him to be. The refusal, he could have owned her. But instead, he gave her back her voice. The night was cold on the base, even inside the walls of steel. Captain Raylan didn't sleep. He sat in the dark, his back against the wall, his eyes fixed on the sleeping alien girl across the room. Zyra, her chains were gone, but the fear in her eyes had not left. She hadn't spoken again since that one question. "Why aren't you hurting me?" Raylan didn't have an answer even for himself. Morning the next day, Raylan walked through the busy halls of the base. Soldiers laughed and slapped each other on the back. They had won. That's all that mattered to them. One soldier grinned as Raylan passed. "Hey, Captain," he called. "How's your new pet?" Raylan stopped, his eyes narrowed. "She's not a pet." The smile faded. The soldier raised both hands. "Relax, sir. Just a joke." But Raylan didn't smile. Back in the room, Zyra stood by the wall, arms crossed. She hadn't eaten much. She hadn't moved much either. Raylan came in and sat across from her. "I'm not going to force you to talk," he said. "But I need you to know ... I don't want a slave." Zyra looked away. "Then why am I here?" Raylan took a deep breath. "Because they think I want one." Zyra's voice was bitter. "You won the war. You took our planets, you took our lives. Why not take us too?" Her words were sharp. But Raylan didn't react with anger. "I didn't fight this war to take people," he said. "I fought because they told us you were monsters." Zyra looked at him now. Her eyes were cold. "And what do you believe now?" Raylan didn't answer. Flashback, Raylan's past. He remembered the burning village on Telari Prime. He remembered the small alien girl hiding behind her mother just before the blast hit. Raylan had never told anyone. Not even himself, he carried that picture in his pocket still. A reminder of who paid the price for the war. That evening Raylan left the door to the room open for the first time. A quiet message: "You are not a prisoner here." But Zyra didn't leave. She sat in silence, still unsure what this human truly wanted. Later, he placed a simple plate of food near her. Nothing fancy, just enough to say, "You matter." Still, she didn't touch it. Hours passed. Then suddenly she spoke. "You think kindness will make me trust you?" Raylan looked up. "No," he said. "I think kindness is just what's right." Zyra laughed quietly. It wasn't joy. It was disbelief. "You think this will change anything? My people are gone. My name was stripped away. I was given a number." Raylan nodded slowly. "Then tell me your real name." "I want to hear it." Zyra hesitated. Her throat tightened. "It's Zyra." "The warning the next morning, Commander." Voss stormed into Raylan's office. A cruel smile on his face. "You're getting too soft," he said. "Your alien girl still breathing?" Raylan kept calm. "She's not a slave. She's property," Voss snapped. "Same as a weapon. And if you don't use her, others will." Raylan stood up. "If anyone lays a hand on her, they'll—" "Answer to me," Voss smiled wider. "We'll see." Late night, escape attempt that night. Zyra woke suddenly. She heard footsteps in the hall. Drunken voices, laughter, doors opening and closing. She panicked. Maybe Raylan was just pretending. Maybe this was the moment it all turned. The kindness was a trick. She moved quietly to the door, heart racing. It was unlocked. She ran down the hallway, past soldiers who barely noticed, toward the exit. Then a hand grabbed her arm. Zyra screamed. But it wasn't Raylan. It was someone else. Another officer, grinning, drunk, hungry. Well, the man said. "Look at the captains." Little gift wandering off. Zyra fought. She kicked, bit, scratched. But she was small, weak. The man laughed and pushed her against the wall. Then bang. A gunshot rang through the hallway. The officer froze. Raylan stood at the end of the hall, gun raised, hand steady. "Let her go." Silence. The man backed away. Hands up. She was escaping. Raylan stepped forward slowly. "She's under my protection. You touch her again, you lose a hand." Zyra stared at him, eyes wide. He wasn't faking. He was fighting his own kind. For her, the chains of peace. Some chains are not made of steel. Some are made of memory. And silence. It began with a sound. Not loud, not sharp. Just a soft blink. Zyra opened her eyes. She was lying on a thin mattress, wrapped in a blanket that smelled of clean metal and old air. Her body was still, but something under her skin was not. Blink. A light was flashing just once every few seconds from a spot near her collarbone. She sat up slowly, touched her neck. The small device was hidden beneath her skin. She had almost forgotten it was there. Until now. The signal had awakened, and someone, somewhere, was listening. Elsewhere in deep space on the far edge of a dead system, an old Varn outpost came to life. Dust fell from the ceiling as ancient machines whirred awake. A screen lit up. Bio Relay 44 Zyra. Signal active. A hooded figure stood. From the shadows, she lives, the voice whispered. She remembers. Back on the human base, Captain Raylan poured water into a metal cup. He hadn't slept. Again, he sat near the door, not too close to Zyra, not too far. Just enough space to mean, I'm here. But I won't cross the line. Zyra hadn't told him about the signal. Not yet. She watched him carefully now. He was strange for a human. He didn't shout. He didn't touch her. He never locked the door. She didn't understand him. And that confused her more than anything else. I owe you, she said suddenly. Raylan looked up. For what? For not letting that man take me? He shook his head. You don't owe me. That's basic human decency. Zyra frowned. Then maybe humans are still learning it. Later that day the base was quiet. Most soldiers had been rotated out or reassigned. Commander Voss, however, was still watching. He visited Raylan's room with a group of officers. We're moving her, Voss said. To a high-security research wing? Raylan stood firm. No. Voss smirked. She's valuable. Her DNA might be different. She could have tech hidden inside her. We can't risk it. Raylan crossed his arms. She's not a machine. She's a person. Voss leaned in. Then why did we win the war, Raylan? To treat them like equals? Raylan's voice was cold. No, to stop fighting, not to start collecting trophies. The officers exchanged looks. Voss grinned. Watch yourself, Captain. You're starting to sound like the enemy. Zyra's memory returns. That night, Zyra sat alone. She stared at the blinking light in the wall. It reminded her of something from long ago, a lab. White walls, needles, pain, and her mother's voice. You are not just one of them, Zyra. You were born to remember. You were born to return. Return where? She didn't know, but suddenly, she saw something else. A strange symbol glowing in her mind, a shape burned into memory. She drew it on the wall with her finger. A circle inside a triangle, inside the circle. A small star. Raylan saw it the next morning. What is this? He asked. Zyra looked pale. I think it's a message from my people. A message for what? Her voice dropped. For rescue. Or revenge. Raylan's secret that night. Zyra couldn't sleep. She pretended to rest. Her eyes half closed. Raylan sat by his bed holding something in his hand. A photo, worn and faded. Zyra blinked. A child. A Varn child, just like her. She sat up slowly. Who? Is that? Raylan didn't move for a moment. Then he spoke. Her name was Alari. She was just 6. I saw her right before the missiles hit. Zyra listened in silence. I tried to call them off, Raylan said. My orders said the building was a weapons lab. But it wasn't. It was a school. His voice broke. They lied to us. Zyra's breath caught. Maybe she wasn't the only one carrying pain. Silence. Before the storm the base was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Raylan noticed it the moment he stepped outside. No laughter from the soldiers, no music from the lounge. Even the usual buzz of machines seemed lower. Cautious, Zyra noticed it too. From her corner of the room, she felt the air shift. Like something invisible had entered the walls, watching, waiting, a message from the stars deep inside her body. Under the skin near her shoulder, the signal device pulsed again. Blink, blink, but this time she felt it respond. A voice. Not in sound, but in her thoughts. Zyra, daughter of the lost, you have awakened. We are coming. She gasped, her hand flying to her neck. The voice vanished. But the meaning remained. They know where I am now. She had been found. Raylan's confession. Raylan entered the room with 2 cups of tea. He placed one near her without saying a word. Zyra didn't touch it. I had a dream last night, Raylan said. I was standing in the middle of a battlefield, but the guns weren't firing. The soldiers just stared at each other. No one moved. He looked at her. I think peace scares us more than war. Zyra watched him quietly. She wanted to tell him everything. About the signal. About the voice. About the ship that was probably already on its way, but she did and single quotes. Not yet, not until she knew what side Raylan would be on when that ship arrived. Meanwhile, The other side of the Galaxy A ship, shaped like a blade, moved through space without sound. Inside, a group of Varn warriors prepared their armor. Their faces were painted with silver lines, the symbols of the Remembrance Pact, a forgotten tribe thought to be extinct. The leader stood in front of a glowing map. Her face was hidden, but her voice was ice. Zyra is alive. We retrieve her. We erase anyone who stands in our way. The crew pounded their fists on their chest. Back on the base, danger within. Commander Voss had been watching Raylan closely, and today he made his move. He entered Raylan's quarters with 4 soldiers, armed and alert. We're taking the alien, Voss said coldly. Raylan stood up, calm but tense. Under whose orders? Voss smirked. My own. She's a security threat. We scanned her yesterday. There's something in her body. Some kind of transmitter. Raylan's stomach dropped. Zyra's eyes widened. They knew. She stays with me. Raylan said, Step aside, Captain, Voss warned. You're not her owner, you're just her handler? Raylan stepped forward. Then fire me. Court-martial me. I don't care. You're not taking her. The soldiers raised their weapons. So, did Raylan? Zyra's choice in that moment. Zyra made a decision. She raised both hands. Stop. Everyone turned. I'll go, she said quietly. If it means no one dies here, I'll go. Raylan turned to her. You don't have to. Zyra looked at him, eyes burning. I do. But as the soldiers moved toward her, pulse wave hit the base. The lights flickered. Sirens screamed. And far above the planet, the alien ship arrived. End scene. The arrival. The sky above the base split open. A storm of clouds spiraled unnaturally. Blue light danced across the surface like electricity and water. From the heavens, a sleek black ship descended. No engines. No sound. Only presence. The humans stared in disbelief. Commander Voss backed away. What the hell is that? Raylan whispered, almost to himself. She wasn't calling for help. She was calling her people home. Zyra stood still, calm in the chaos. She closed her eyes and said just one word. They're here. Cliffhanger for Part 5. The Rebellion. The Varn ship sends a message. Return our daughter, or burn with her. Raylan must choose. Hand Zyra over to aliens who may want war, or fight both his own people and hers to protect her. But Zyra isn't running anymore. She's ready to decide her fate. Cold sky, warm trigger. The alien ship hovered above, the human base like a shadow stitched to the sky. No noise. No movement. Just the threat of something ancient, awake, and angry. Inside the base, alarms wailed like broken voices. Red lights blinked across every hallway. Doors sealed. Weapons powered up. Raylan stood between Zyra and a line of soldiers. Commander Voss screamed into his radio. Defense mode alpha. Target lock on the ship. Zyra didn't flinch. They won't fire first, she said softly. But they will finish last. The ultimatum from the alien ship. A deep voice echoed through the comm system. Return Zyra of House Velen, or this place becomes ash. Everyone froze. The voice was in flawless human standard, cold, calm, certain. Raylan looked at Zyra. House Velen? That's royalty, isn't it? Zyra nodded slowly. I wasn't meant to be a slave. I was meant to be a symbol. Raylan realized it then. She wasn't just a survivor. She was a spark, the spark that burns both sides. Commander Voss shoved his way forward. We give her to them now. And maybe they leave. It's simple. Raylan shook his head. It's never simple. You give them what they want, and what's next? A war? A throne? Another genocide? Voss raised his weapon. Raylan did too. Zyra stepped between them. Enough. I won't be traded again. Not to humans, not to my own. Everyone paused. She turned to Raylan. There's a ship in dock. 3, isn't there? A scout runner? Raylan hesitated. Yeah. Unarmed, but fast. Zyra's voice hardened. Then let's steal it. Escape plan. The idea was insane. It would mark Raylan as a traitor, and Zyra as an enemy to both sides, but they had no other choice. They moved fast. Through service tunnels, past locked doors, every hallway filled with chaos. Zyra carried a small datapad. Raylan had stolen map of the base, ship status, guard rotations. Halfway to Dock 3, they ran into 2 guards. Raylan raised his hands. Don't make me shoot. But Zira moved first. She used a hidden pulse crystal ancient tech zone into her clothing. One flash, one push, and the guards were unconscious. Raylan stared. You could have used that this whole time? Zira smirked. Didn't trust you. Still deciding. Meanwhile, the alien commander watches on the alien ship. The masked commander narrowed her eyes. Zira is moving, but she is not coming to us. An officer stepped forward. Should we extract her by force? The commander hesitated. No, let her choose. If she runs from her own kind, then she is truly Varn. The final gate, they reached Dock 3. Just one door between them and freedom, but waiting on the other. Side was Commander Voss and 6 armed soldiers. You think we didn't guess this move? He growled. Put the alien down, Raylan. Or I put you both down. Raylan raised his weapon. So did Voss, but before anyone could fire, Zira walked between them again. She looked at Voss. And the soldiers, I'm not yours, I never was. She raised her hand, and the symbol she drew back in part 3, the triangle, the circle, the star glowed on her skin. The alien ship responded instantly. A blinding beam of light struck the roof. Ripping open the dock. Zyra grabbed Raylan's hand. Now! They ran. Into the ship. Into the sky. End scene. The choice has been made as the stolen scout ship escaped. The atmosphere. The alien ship did not fire, neither did the humans, because in that one moment both sides realized she was no longer theirs to control. Zira sat in the cockpit. Breathing hard, Raylan looked at her. You just started a war. Zira shook her head. No, she said. I just started a rebellion. Silence in the stars. The stolen scout ship floated through empty space. Quiet like a grave. Captain Raylan sat at the controls, his hands steady but his mind racing. Every breath felt heavier now. Every second away from Earth was a step closer. To something unknown, Zira stood at the back of the ship, staring through the window. I don't hear them anymore, she whispered. Raylan glanced back. The Varn ship? She shook her head. The voices. The ones that spoke to me when the signal was active. They're gone. She placed her hand against the glass. I think they're waiting for something. The hidden hours passed. The ship's systems were old. Mostly dead, but deep in the lower deck, near the cargo bay, something woke up, a flicker on the screen. A whisper of code. Then a voice. Cold, ancient, synthetic, identity match. Zira of House Velen. Genetic marker confirmed. Voice authorization. Unlocked, project, gate fire, reactivated. Raylan nearly dropped the data tablet. What was that? Zira turned pale. I know that name, she said. Gatefire. It was a myth. A story told to keep Varn children in line. Raylan stared at the screen. It's not a story anymore. The AI speaks. A hologram flickered to life. It looked like a star map. But broken, fragmented. The voice continued. Welcome, carrier of the code. You have unlocked the last memory of the Varn Empire. Project Gatefire was our final weapon. But also our final hope. Raylan leaned closer. Weapon? What kind of weapon? The eye pulsed red. A planetary veil. A machine that can erase entire worlds from memory. Not just destroy them, but make it so they never existed. Zira stepped back. No, that's not what I didn't want this. The AI ignored her. Only a living heir with activated DNA may control it. Only one born of royal blood and survivor's fire. Raylan turned to Zira slowly. You're not just royalty, he said. You're the key. Truth unfolds. Zira sat down, her hands shaking. My mother once told me I was born during a storm, that the sky cracked open when I screamed. She said I would bring light. Or shadow. She looked up. I thought she meant poetry. Now I know she meant this, Raylan paced. So what now? We destroy the AI? The ship's screen turned red. Attempt to erase will trigger planetary defense systems. Warning, your path has already been seen. Raylan paused. Seen by who? By the others, the AI said. The ones who made me. The ones who still wait in the dark between stars. Zyra's voice was soft. There's more out there, isn't there? More than just humans and Varn. Meanwhile, enemies converge back on Earth. Commander Voss received a message from a secret human council. Activate retrieval teams, the councilman ordered. We can't allow her to reach the gate, even if it means starting another. War? Voss asked. The reply was simple. This isn't about war anymore. This is about who gets to rewrite history. The vision that night, Zara touched the AIS core, the ship filled with light. Raylan tried to stop her, but he couldn't move. Time froze. And Zara fell. Into memory. She stood in a temple made of stars. Her ancestors stood around her, their eyes burning with hope and fear. One voice spoke clearly. You are not chosen because you are worthy. You are chosen because you are left. Zara looked down at her hands. They were glowing. What will you do, Zara? The voice asked. Will you burn the past to build the future? Or protect a past that no longer deserves to live? Return to reality. Zara gasped and pulled back. The ship was dark again. Raylan caught her before she collapsed. What did you see? He asked. Zara looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly. Now, I saw the end of both our worlds. Raylan's voice was low. And did you cause it? Zara's lips trembled. Not yet. Drifting toward destiny, the stolen scout ship drifted toward a cold, silent planet marked only on ancient maps as the Gate. Raylan stood at the window, arms crossed, watching as the gray world spun slowly in the dark. It looked dead, but Zara knew better. This is where it all started, she said. Where the Varn built their final weapon. Where my ancestors disappeared? Raylan looked at her. You mean where they were erased? Zara nodded. A graveyard of stars. They landed near what looked like ruins, massive stone towers, shattered into dust. But beneath the surface, machines still lived. The AI's voice returned. Final access granted. Gatefire protocol ready. Awaiting command. Zara walked forward, step by step, toward a glowing altar. Her blood had opened the way. Her presence was the final key. The wind howled around her, but inside the chamber there was silence. Then a wall lit up with memories. Planets wiped clean, people forgotten, whole cities swallowed by time. Use this power, the AI whispered, and history becomes yours to rewrite. You can erase the war. You can erase the Terrans. You can erase everything they took from you. The arrival of enemies. Before Zara could speak, the sound of engines shook the ruins. 2 ships landed. 1. Varn 1 human. Commander Voss stepped out of the Terran craft with soldiers on the other side. The Varn High Commander, the masked woman from before, approached with warriors. Both sides aimed at each other. Then at Zara. Step away from the gate, Voss shouted. We'll take control from here? Do your people not learn? The Varn commander said coldly. You can't hold what you don't understand. Raylan stepped between them. No one's taking anything. The Varn commander's eyes narrowed. Then why are you still standing beside her? Raylan looked at Zara. He had no answer, because he didn't know her choice yet. The final decision. Zara stood at the center of everything. 2 armies. 2 histories, 1 power, the AI voice echoed around her. Say the word, and the war never happened. Say the word. And they forget what they did to your people. Say the word, and all the pain is undone. Zara closed her eyes. She saw her mother's face, her sisters in chains, Raylan bleeding for her. The Varn leaders who ignored her, the Terrans who feared her, the ruins, the screaming, the silence. She saw everything. And then she stepped away from the altar. No, she whispered. The AI froze. Command unclear. Zara raised her voice. I said nitrogen monoxide. I won't erase anyone, not even those who hurt us. Everyone stared. Raylan whispered, You're letting it go? Zara nodded. Double quotes. No one learns from silence. If we forget everything, we repeat it. She turned to the armies. You want power. I have it, but I'm not using it to destroy. She held out her hands. I'm using it to remember. The collapse of the altar shut down. Lights faded. The AI sighed like a tired god. The planet trembled. Warning appeared on the console. Power denied. Gate sealed. Forever. One last shot. Commander Voss screamed. You fool! He raised his weapon to shoot her, but Raylan was faster. One shot. Voss dropped. The Terran soldiers lowered their guns. The Varn soldiers followed. No one moved. No one knew what to do. Peace. Finally, Xeno walked out of the ruins and into the wind. Raylan followed. You could have ruled everything, he said quietly. She looked at him. I'd rather heal something than own it. Epilogue 2 years later, Xeno now lived on a small planet rebuilt by both humans and Varn, a place with no flag. No soldiers. Just peace. Raylan visited often, children laughed in the streets, and no one remembered the war with hate, because now they remembered it with truth.